Good morning. Welcome to week 3, session 1. I want to thank you guys for continuing to show up for yourselves and work through all of these layouts that I put together for you. Last week we were working on identifying the weeds, ripping out the weeds, kind of making a game plan for that. If you haven't already, you can head over to the homework sections and just hold space for each other, just work through it. I encourage you to chat with each other and just identify maybe what you're going through, someone else might be going through as well. And I want to shift right now into this week. So this week we're doing the let it go exercise, which is one small part of a bigger section of cognitive behavior art therapy exercises that I've put together in one of the phases of self-discovery. So this is one I like to do all the time, and I'll use this on my weekly layouts. I'll just pick a page in my book and just draw a bunch of balloons. And this really helps you to visualize your problem. I'll show you this little breathing exercise that I do. I breathe out the problem and then I just let it go. Kind of like that quote, let it go, give it to God. I don't know what it is, but let go and let God, I think is what it is. It's kind of that mentality, except through this visual balloon idea. So I'm going to show you a completed one. So this one says like letting go of expectation, letting go of every version of myself that I hate, letting go of the idea that I am any type of disappointment, letting go of my trauma as a child, and letting go of the control over things. So this one's still one that I'm working on constantly. And I would say for each balloon that I have here, I could probably like blow up another 5 balloons for each one because there's things attached to them. So one thing I like to do in my own practice, if you get into any kind of like training for like yoga and hot breath yoga or kundalini and all of that kind of stuff, there's a lot of healing in hot breath and breathing that through your body. So I do this one exercise I learned in therapy. Don't know which one. I think I was like 10-ish, 11 years old. And they try to teach you very cognitive things that like a kid can understand. So we would put a fist into our palm and just take a really arch your back and take a really deep breath and try to get all the hot air out of your body. And I imagine that you are going to breathe out whatever that toxic energy could be. So for me at the time, it would be like, I'm mad at my mom. And I just do this big deep breath into this imaginary balloon. And as you're blowing, you kind of like do this little thing and you let the air go out and you visualize that the balloon's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So you breathe out all that heat, the hatred, whatever it is that you're feeling, and you breathe it into the balloon. But you have to be mindful, if you blow too much, that balloon's going to pop. So when it gets to a certain point and you're like, okay, how much am I really feeding into this hate and anger and hatred? And then you would, seal off the balloon and let it go. So that was a visual that really helped me. And it, even with like meditating, I still use that exercise, and I'll imagine that each deep breath is helping me elevate, up or down into whatever realm I'm trying to enter in my meditations. But a lot of that is just preference and self-practice. So I like to do the breathing exercise just to give my body, because we talk about emotion, right? Emotion gets trapped in its energy. So if you can just hold space for yourself, even if it could be like you're doing dishes and like your husband is annoying as fuck right now, let it go. Like, just like holding space for it and just letting it go. Those are little things. So for me, a lot of it is with my mom and her addiction. And I'm in that transition where last week I was sharing that like I'm accepting it. I'm just like, okay, this is a weed. And we were kind of talking about it as like, do you poison the weed to let it die? Do you watch it and let it just kind of like overtake the garden, or what kind of thing? What do you do to take out the weed? And this is one of those instances where I can't rip the weed out. It's my mom's issue, right? It's nothing that I can control. I can't poison her and make her issues go away. So this is where the balloon exercise would come in, and I would just keep on letting balloons go of things that I cannot control, things that I'm not forced to accept, but I'm choosing to accept because suffering for me is not an option. So That's a very easy one that I love to do, and I do it all the time on just a random piece of paper, even just thinking about it and visually letting it go. It can really help you on that next stage. So I want to encourage you guys to just keep practicing that this week, and feel free to share in the chat and stuff like that. And I will see you guys in the next session. Thank you guys for joining.